Hi, my name is Steve Olpin. I'm a filmmaker and a photographer, and I'm answering a few questions in this artist to artist questions. And I'm very excited about, first of all, I'm very excited about being a photographer and a filmmaker. It's what I love. I've always loved it, and I've been lucky enough to make a living at it. I've had my ups and downs and my struggles, but I've been making it work for about 30 years, believe it or not. Okay. I'm going to just go through these questions. I'll try to be quick, not waste your time, or respect your time. Why did you choose to be an artist? That is a good question. I loved drawing as a kid, and I loved just playing and being outdoors and doing fun stuff, skateboards, bikes. Drawing was my first thing that I did. I did tons of drawing with a friend of mine who ended up being a professional artist. And then it was also fun. But then I started getting into photography, and I started taking photography classes in junior high and high school and playing a little bit with movie cameras and stuff. And that's kind of it. And then I wasn't a very good student, probably because I didn't apply myself. Something was not going right with my brain. And I thought, well, I'm going to get serious about school, and I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to do something serious. I can't do photography. That's what I do for fun. And I dabbled around for like 5 years, or not 5 years, like 5 majors, and nothing was perfect. And I go, I'm going to go into photography. And not only am I going to go into photography, I'm going to go into motion picture photography, which is, I thought was impossible. I remember having a teacher tell me, one of my photography teachers said, good luck. It's all run by people in the family. They pass it from father to son. You can't get in that business. And I listened to him, and I shouldn't have listened to him. Sometimes you got to not listen to your teachers. So I kind of didn't think I could do it. And then when I started, I just worked as hard as I could at being in filmmaking and TV and documentary. My main thing is like nonfiction. I don't work with actors much. And I've made it work. And I love it. Okay, what inspires you, and where did you get your inspiration from? I get my inspiration from just living life, like doing fun things like, riding bikes, skateboards, going skiing, doing fun stuff. I wasn't much of a movie buff. I like movies, but I'm not like, I've only seen the Star Wars movies like one time each. And, they're not my favorite. I don't hate them, but they just didn't touch me the way they've touched other people. But I did like the tradition of going to the ski movie. I'm not a very good skier. And I liked like the idea of surf movies and skateboard movies and people documenting the things they do for fun. So Warren Miller, the ski movie guy, was one of my first inspirations because he always talked about having fun and doing stuff. Hey, I'm going to change this just a sec. I think it's no, not that button. This one right there. There we go. So what inspires you? And okay. And where did you get your inspiration? So Warren Miller was the first, and then I would, I don't know. I just liked, like skateboard magazines and stuff like that. I loved like seeing people do fun stuff. And what inspires me is question number 2 here. What inspires me is all forms of art and artistic expression. I mean, I love going to a good play. I wish I could say I love the opera, but I don't understand it. I love the energy of the opera, but I don't understand it. I love a good book. I love a good nonfiction book. I love drawings. I love art. I love messy art, modern art. I love looking at photography. I love looking at good movies, especially nonfiction movies. I appreciate a good movie too. Those are fun to watch. Okay, so that was number 2. How did you choose your specific medium or style of creating art? How long did it take you to find your niche? That's a very good question. So my niche is nonfiction filmmaking, working with real people doing real things. And when I went to school, they said, we do not have a documentary program, but you can stick around and do whatever you want. And that was like the best thing ever. So in one of my first classes, everybody was doing scripts and making stories and funny little stories and little touching stories. And that's awesome. That just wasn't me. And I had seen this rock climber guy that I thought was really funny and quirky. And I said, can I just go do a mini documentary about this rock climber guy? And they said, yeah, go do it. So I started just doing my own thing. And my very first film was a guy who liked to talk but didn't like to listen. And he was really funny. And I just made this really funky film about him expressing his views about climbing and everything in his brain. And I loved it. And it was fun to do. And that's kind of where I found my style, is finding people that are passionate about what they do and they have an opinion. They're a lot of times really funny people because they kind of are the center of their own little weird planet, and they're just so opinionated, and it's so fun to follow people like that. You know, you follow someone, they're like, well, what do you like? I don't know, nothing. You know, that's not too interesting. But if someone says, I'm so interested in this and I have to do it, and you're just like, oh, that is so interesting. And why are people obsessed with what they do? So that's what I like doing, is following people. Okay, let me see. How did you choose your specific medium? And how long did it take you to find your niche? Pretty quickly I found my niche of like passionate documentaries. And it's kind of everything I've ever done is like, if you're crazy interested about what you do, I'm interested in hearing you know, carry on about it, talk about it, act it out, go on an adventure with you, watch you do your artwork. I mean, that's kind of what I get excited about. And it happened pretty quick. It happened almost on the first project where I go, wow, this was fun, you know? And, you know, people were good at making up scripts and ideas in fictional worlds. And I was like, that wasn't me again. I was like, I love to find worlds and then observe them. Like, what do they look like from here, here, here? Ask them questions. And so that's what I ended up doing. Okay. Excuse me while I read this. What has been your career path with art? How did you decide which career path to pursue? Okay. So I was in school, stumbling around with majors, and it wasn't working too well, and I had a lot of good intentions with my majors, but then when I jumped into photography, let me read this question again. Okay, I decided I was going to go all in on filmmaking. And I worked and I worked, and I would volunteer on projects. I would help whenever the school said there was an opportunity for like kind of like an internship or whatever, I would go do it. I'd work on movie sets, and I would work on movie sets of stuff I wasn't interested to because I was getting a sense of what this whole movie industry was about. And early on, I started doing technical work in filmmaking, like lighting, and that's how I paid the bills for the first, you know, years of my career. I really didn't like it. I wish I would have chose a different department, because I'm kind of a natural. I like to, like, just like, this is the light coming from the window. That's what we'll move you until we find the light looks right. I don't like lighting stuff. I don't like finding light. I don't like artificial light. I like just finding natural light. So lighting was a bad choice for me, what I did. But there's a lot of things in filmmaking that you can do. You can work in the production department, the accounting department, the legal department, the art department, the makeup, the hair, the cameras, the audio, the post-production. There's a lot of opportunities in filmmaking to get work if you're not the director. And being the director is like a lot of people's ultimate goal, and that can be hard, but you can do it, you know. And some people don't want to be the director. They just want to, you know, get paid for their, like, being an editor or an audio person, and that's cool too. So there's a lot of options in filmmaking, and I decided, you know, like I said, I'd do the lights till I got on my feet. And it happened pretty good that I was able to make it work, and I've, you know, done a lot of fun. I don't get big projects. I get medium to little projects, and I like that because it's very personal. Okay. Okay, question number 5 says, what is your artistic process? How long does it take to finish a piece? That is a tough one, because I've had projects that have taken years, literally years and years, and I've had projects that I've done in a day, and I like both styles. And kind of hard, you know. I wish I was faster sometimes. So it depends on the project, and you know, sometimes you get hired and you have a reasonable budget and smart producers that tell you how long it's going to take, and you have to finish the project in those. But you know, that's all over the place. I love doing projects where you just shoot in a day and you're done, and it's a short thing for YouTube. That's fun, you know. Or you do something where you follow somebody for a year and you make an interesting project. it seems like the sweet spot for me for my documentary work, where you get a really good look, but you don't have to spend forever, is about a week. And I've done several documentaries where I get a week with somebody, and I love that. And so I can really get in and figure out who they are. So, what is your artistic process? My artistic process was find people that are interesting, find people that are passionate, just people that excite me. Yeah, that's my process, is finding excitement and passion. Okay, I'm going to go to the next question. Number 6. Have you always created the same kind of artwork, or has your style changed a lot? Okay, we talked about that. Mine has changed a little bit, but I discovered that style when I was young, and I kind of stuck with it, and I love it. But because of digital technology and things, every day things change, and they get better and cheaper. And so, to tell you the truth, I'm one of those old guys that will say, I don't know everything. Probably young people know more than I do about modern technology. I have got so much to learn, and every day I learn a lot. Whether it's reading, watching YouTube videos, experimenting, there is so much to learn in this field, with digital media. And, people are making good artwork with just their phones. And they're also I was just on a project where there was 8 cameras that were like, there was hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment on these sets, and we're working around, and whatever. They were making good art too. And the person that gets out their phone, they were making good art. So that's one thing I'm not kind of snobby about. As long as it's like doing something and touching you, I think it's cool. So you can make good art with your phone, and kids are doing it all the time. You see it all the time. Okay. Has your style changed a lot? It morphs. What's your medium or style, and what's your favorite technique, tip, or trick? So there's a term called like direct cinema, where in the old days they got rid of everything, and it was just the camera person and the person that they're doing a film about. Like there's a famous film called it's called Don't Look Back. It's about Bob Dylan, and this was one of the guys I looked up to, and it was just kind of him and a sound person, maybe a few people, following Bob Dylan around, and it was wonderful. I love this. It's called kind of direct cinema. There's a French name, they call it cinema verite, which is cinema truth. I love the idea of just being there, being respectful, and being personal with the people. And I worked on a project with someone, and it was one of my favorite projects I've ever done. And she was in the circus, and she had gotten to the top of her game in the circus. And I think the circus is super interesting, as a form of art. And she wasn't happy, and she tried to take her own life. And when she wasn't successful, she says, I've got to change this. I made it to the top of the circus. I'm still not happy. So she started teaching the circus arts to homeless kids in Portland, Oregon. And that was one of my favorite weeks of working on a film ever. And we were just present with the kids that were working on their circus arts and the leader. And it was just like so much fun just to be there. So my favorite technique and trick is just to kind of let the camera disappear and just be there. And it's tricky because you got this piece of equipment in front of your face, And, I've worked with people where the equipment is so big and so important that like the person takes a back seat to the equipment. I don't like that at all. I like the camera to be kind of invisible, but you have to acknowledge it. It's there, and you deal with it. And my favorite way to go in is like meet someone, say, hi, I'm Steve. We're going to be making this documentary about you. I'm going to go outside and get the camera in the car. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to film for the rest of the day. So we make that face-to-face connection, and then we go to work. And people kind of forget it's there, and they're referencing it, and they're talking to me. And you'll see my movies, and sometimes someone, hey, Steve, you should look at this. And I like that. And you have a lot of flexibility in editing if you film all day, too. If you film all day and you just need it to be a 5-minute scene, you can pretty much say whatever you want. And that's what's interesting about documentary is a lot of people trust you, and I do it out of respect, and I never try to make people look bad, but some people do try to look bad, and if you look at journalism and stuff. So being very personal is my style. Okay, let me see if the question. Okay, that was number 7. What is your medium or style? What is your favorite technique, trip, or tip? Is being present, being there. What's your favorite piece of artwork that you have ever created? Okay, that's a good question. My very first kind of big film was about an artist, actually. Oh, the artist that made this. I took a pottery class, and I loved his ideas, and I started a documentary about him. It took a year and a half. And that was one of my favorite pieces. But then I also made a film about a bike rider who was a BMX trick rider. His name is Corey Nastasio, and I made a documentary about him and his mother. And she was crazy, and he was crazy, and they would fight, and they were silly, and they were passionate. And his name was Nasty. His mother was named Angel, and it was very fun and charming. And I lived with those people on and off for maybe a season, so like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. I mean, I wasn't there the whole time, but I did that. So that was one of my favorite ones. So I did one about the artist, about the potter, and then one of my favorite ones is about the circus person. That may be my favorite one ever. And then I've done a whole series about an artist, and he was really fun. And he was, I would follow him around for a whole season. Then I did one about someone who helps people who are recovering from drugs and alcohol, and I loved that. And I did one about disabled sailors in the San Francisco Bay that love to sail, and that was fun. So I don't know. I mean, and then I've done little short things for my YouTube channel that are super fun and just take a couple of days. So my favorite piece of artwork I've created, I've got a lot. And I think a lot of them are because I made a connection with this person. I think like I kind of want to be a visual artist. I don't have the time. I'm a filmmaker. I kind of want to be a potter. I don't have the time. I'm a filmmaker. I kind of want to be not a professional bike rider, but like ride my bike all day. And I can't. I don't have the time. So being a filmmaker for me has been a way to kind of dive into these cultures and like see what it is. And I always try to make them for a general audience too, and so that's been fun. And I forgot what I was talking about. Why are they my favorite? I don't know. To me, it's just like the world is like such an interesting place. There's so many interesting people, and like because of the internet and Instagram and all that, YouTube, it's like you can look at good art all day long, and that takes a little bit of discipline. And I have a bad habit of looking at too much art, and I need to make more art. My problem. Okay, my favorite piece of art. So I gave you a list of a bunch. I love those pieces. I mean, I just love it when I get to do this. Like I just came off a 3-week job, and I just had to document this people. A new thing I'm doing is on-set photography. So when there's a TV show, or a movie, they have a guy or a person that is just taking pictures all day long and to promote the show for Instagram and Facebook and I just got off a 3-week show where all I had to do was document what was going on. It was so much fun. I mean, just morning to night, sun up to sundown, taking pictures. And I've been able to do jobs where I do promotional video and photographs in the same person. Usually that's 2 people, but lately I've been saying, just take me and I'll do them both. And so, oh man, I had so much fun doing that. Oh my goodness, that was fun. Okay. How did you learn to have confidence in your artwork and stop comparing yourself to other artists? Okay. Well, I haven't mastered that yet. I'm in trouble. That is something I think about a lot. I always look at my feet and I think about it and I go, I'm standing right here. There are people that are far more successful than I am. They've made more money. They make more money. They have better contacts. And they're much more successful than I am. I try not to compare myself to them. Also, there's people on this side that haven't had the breaks that I have had. They can't get projects funded. They can't get jobs. They can't figure it out. They have to have day jobs. I shouldn't compare myself to those people either. So Steve's standing right here. I just have to be at peace where I'm at and enjoy the process of filmmaking, enjoy where I'm at. I had one time where I bumped into a friend of mine we were at the airport and I had a backpack on, like, I don't know, I can carry almost all my equipment in one backpack on my back. And I'm walking through the airport and I see this guy and I go, I was just in Portland making this film about circus kids that are homeless. And he goes, wow, that's good. And he kind of sensed that he was jealous of this project because it was such a fun idea. And then he told me he was doing 2 cat commercials in Los Angeles, like kitty cat food. And I was like, oh, I was jealous because I know how much money you make when you do those projects. And we both kind of looked at each other and we both were jealous of each other. And then we kind of laughed. And then I called him later and I said, we're so pathetic. We're both like envious of the other and we just need to be happy with who we are. And so it was really funny because, God, we're insecure. And a lot of times we compete against each other for work and money. And it's tricky and you have to be respectful and you don't want to burn any bridges. And you have to, there's a lot of unwritten rules about filmmaking. If someone introduces you to someone else, you don't go to them for work unless you've cleared it from this person. That's another story. But you learn lessons, you make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've made a ton of mistakes. And people have made mistakes working with me that I don't care for. And best thing is to talk about it. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. But the confidence. But I am in a place where I'm really quite comfortable with where I'm at. I really love it. I just absolutely love what I'm doing. And, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's good. Okay. Who is your favorite artist? Oh, goodness. Wish I could show you. Okay, I have books full of photography. I watch too much YouTube stuff. I watch too many documentaries. I have a lot of filmmakers and artists that I like. There's a guy named Mac Primo that I love. He's a sculptor and a filmmaker. I have a filmmaker or a sculptor I like that does a lot of videos called Tom Sachs. I love him. One of my favorite YouTubers is a German woman who is a maker, and she's a woodworker and a metalworker, and she makes all these projects and films them, and I just think it's really beautiful and fun, and the way she does it, and she's really clever with her camera work. So I like her. I like the old greats of the industry of documentary. Like this is D.A. Pennebaker. No, yes. Yeah, sorry, I almost got it wrong. There's a guy named D.A. Pennebaker. He was good. He's no longer alive. I took his picture once I saw him, and I was really excited to meet him. There's just a lot of people doing interesting stuff in documentary, and I have a lot of filmmakers that I like. And I mean, I have a lot of painters that I like, potters that I like. I love a lot of local artists, and I love a lot of artists that aren't alive anymore. Again, there's so much art I love to look at, but I'm having trouble writing it down. Oh, and I love musicians. I love music, but I haven't done any music like myself. But my favorite music, I mean, Neil Young's my favorite artist, but I like some rap and hip hop stuff, and not as much. But when it's clever, I think it's fun, and it's fun artistic expression. And I love folky music. I love classical music. I've done documentary work with classical music people. That's really fun. There's just a lot of art to look at, and man, you just got to have self-control. I love an art, and I also love an artistic life. I remember when I was taking pottery classes, they would have parties, and they would spend so much time on the food because food is awesome, and so that was fun. Like having an artistic life, like enjoying sunsets, enjoying swim, and I love being outdoors now, and I love, backpacking or. I love to ride my bike. I ride my bike a lot, and I don't know. Artists. What's your favorite artist? I don't know. Like I said, it kind of, if you're appreciating art, you're going to appreciate a sunset and a good food, and there's so many awesome things going right now. And like as far as favorite artists, I know some people in my industry are like journalists, and that's very, very important. important, but it's not me. I can't go in and trick people and get them to say stuff and make them look foolish. And I just can't do it. I'm all about you giving me the trust. I'm going to respect your time, and I'm going to say something about you. And, sometimes it's, I don't know, maybe it's light, but that's what I like. Like, why did you make that table? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know, something like that. Okay. What do you wish you knew in high school about making art? What I wish I knew in high school about making art was that you can make a living making art. That's what I wish I would have known. I wish I would have known that I could have kept studying photography in high school and filmmaking, and I would have been able to make a living. I always thought I couldn't. And I have friends that are full-time potters. I have friends that are full-time painters. I have people. You can do it. I mean, you might work just as hard as the person that sells insurance, or you'll probably work harder. But it's doable. It's doable. You can do it. And you can develop your talents, and you might have talents now, and you can just get better and better every day. You might be one of those super blessed people that can just bust out cool stuff. You might have to learn. I mean, I don't know. I wish I would have known about making art is that you can do it. You can make a living making art. Like we just had this, we're in COVID, and like we all had to stay at home for a while, and like we looked at a lot of art, and we watched shows that were really cool, and documentaries and TV series, and we'd look flipping, and we looked at funny like TikToks. My kids would look at TikToks and funny stuff, and that's artistic expression. Like, and some people make a living at that. It can also be just for fun, So I wish I would have known that you could, and there's a total path to it. Like if you're a photographer, you can be an assistant, and that's what I wish I would have known. Okay, let me go to the last question, and then I have a couple ideas here. What advice do you have for high schoolers as they continue to make art and pursue art careers? Just do it. That's what I think. There's a lot of argument about, do you need to go to school? And no, technically you don't need to go to school. But one of my favorite artists, Tom Sachs, says, are you really going to spend 6 to 8 hours a day doing art if you don't go to school? Good point. School can help you focus. And like I had times where I was like frustrated with my teachers and I just wanted to do my thing. I kind of just did my own thing, but I was a weird case. But I love that idea of like 6 to 8 hours. Are you really going to do it? And you might just go dilly-dally around, which is fine too, I guess. But I think art is good. I mean, I think art school is good, and I think it's awesome to know that you can make a living at it. The other thing that's interesting about it is I always tell people, if you go to college, you better learn how to road trip. You're going to be staying up late, goofing off with your friends. You're going to have all these people sent to your college that are going to talk to you. That's good. Go talk to them. Listen to them. Say thank you to them when they're done. They'll love it. Say, hey, thanks for coming from Ohio and talking about your art. And like these relationships you have, like most of my work that I've done, I can trace back to people I went to college with. And I actually taught for a while, and then it didn't really work. I just kind of needed to make my art. I work in filmmaking. But all my students, most of my best jobs have been from people that were in my classes. Like when you become a network, you know each other, they know you, and we started hiring each other, And so my best thing, and I think it would be cool if you were in school, if you had a mentor. Like I have a photographer I like, and I call him my mentor because he's really good at on-set photography, and I ask him questions, and I comment on his Instagram, and he texts me back, and we met face-to-face first, and then he's off doing like Men in Black TV shows and all these really famous movies, and we're still friends, and I treat him with respect, and I respect his time. I don't ask for a lot from him, but he's helped me, and I love that. So I think it'd be cool to have a mentor. Remember, you're going to have to do road trips and do fun things. That's important, especially if you're studying art. And when I first started studying art, me and my friend also he was studying ceramic arts. I said, well, if we're going to be artists, we got to live like artists. So we got our bikes and left Provo, Utah, and we started pedaling and hitchhiking. And then we jumped on a freight train, and then we slept in a field, and then we rode our bikes to the coast, and then we started riding to Los Angeles. And 3 weeks later, we've met all these strangers that I still know to this day, 30 years later, are still a part of my life, because I kind of felt like I needed to have an artistic point of view, which is like you need to see the world and appreciate the world and see beauty. So I'm babbling. What was the point of that? Living an artistic life, like I know great painters that will just go on trips to Europe and just look at art. Like they'll just go to museums and they'll sketch, and it's so cool, and the stuff they come back with, and it inspires their art, and that's awesome. What advice we have? But my thing is just like do it, learn, make mistakes, keep a journal, have fun with your journal, learn from your mistakes, be nice to people. Be generous with people. Be kind to people. Those are your fans or your community. And that's it. I was going to show you a bunch of videos, but it really would have been hard to cut this together. I had a day. I'm kind of slow. So I'm going to show you a few things that where you can look at my work if you feel so inclined to do so. So one of the best ways to get a hold of me, I have a YouTube project called The Talking Fly. Is that going to focus? I don't even know if it's going to focus. The Talking Fly. So The Talking Fly is my YouTube channel, which I make a little money at, and I do it for fun. It's kind of how I practice my work and keep doing it. And I have an Instagram called The Talking Fly. That's the best way to get a hold of me, is just message me on that if you need to get a hold of me. I don't know if you need to. We can be friends. Show me your art. A lot of my professional work is on this Vimeo. This Vimeo account. So that's S. Olpin Films. It's kind of my corporation, whatever. And then I have a website. This is the same website. There's two ways to get it there. To get there, you can go steveolpin.tv or thetalkingfly.com. That's a way to look at some of my samples. And then this is that project I was telling you about, The Talking Fly, YouTube. So if you go to this one, you'll get to see some of my professional work. You can see the circus one I did. And then this one's just the YouTube channel. And like I said, I make a living. I mean, I don't make a living off this, but I make a little bit of money off this every day. And if I worked harder, it could probably be my main job. But I'm always doing other fun projects with good budgets, so I don't have to scrounge as hard on this, but it's fun. Oops, I'm bumping into the microphone. So that's it. Thanks for your time. Good luck. How long are we in? 33 minutes or so. Good luck. Yeah, reach out to me on Instagram if you want. And the world is a great place. It's fun to make art. And like I said, my art is, I don't know, it's not too heavy. But there's a lot of crazy things going on. And if you're making political art or other kinds of art, maybe that's super important that you're doing that if you feel it. And that's awesome. So keep making art, keep having fun, and I will see you. Thanks.